Hey, what's going on, man? Just wanted to give you an update on the trade the other day. And let's talk a little more about the market. I got in Meta 595, 594, 85, or 95 or something like that. He's, and I got out of Ford at $87. I got in the other day at 85.50. You might say, well, why did I sell? Well, like I told you, I still think there's some volatility coming. However, while a lot of good news came out related to the tariff, and President Trump saying that he's going to be less stringent on the tariffs than originally stated, which are already anticipated, which is, you know what I'm saying, one of the reasons why I, unlike other people who are sitting on the sidelines, I don't want to just totally sit on the sidelines because I think ultimately the market is going up. And I regret selling the Meta yesterday, which you should never, go back and do all that. But I do because it went up to like 635 today. That was another $300, $400 that I could have made. But you do see that it's teetering today. And I did get back into Walmart at 886, 86.80. No, 86.85. Now, remember I told you that there's oftentimes, a dip. It opened up strong. It opened up $87 and some change. I waited a little while for the dip because I was tempted to get it at 87, but now I'm like, nah, I can't go too much against what I already had said is common. That would be ridiculous. But I still got in too early because I got in probably before 10 o'clock. It dropped down to 86.79. I let it consolidate a little while so it wasn't going back down below that. But this is what I'm saying. It's a little bit, it was still early. But the whole sentiment was still strong and the market was going bonkers. And the report that came out kind of not that good job. I think it was retail sale, something like that. Anyway, some data came out this morning. And that's the other thing, you need to know your catalyst. Now you can just go into ChatGPT and say, and then update yourself on what are all the market catalysts for this week. Even if you're going to be investing, because again, if the market responds to any of these catalysts, and you were keeping your eye up on a company you want to get in, and you're paying attention to what's been going on for 3 weeks overall, I need a nice little pullback. I'm not going to buy it right now because no need of buying it right now when I can, there's a good chance that it's going to pull back 5%, 2, 3% at least. I'll wait. So if you're doing that and you see these catalysts coming up, then you know that there's a potential that you'll be able to see a pullback. So that's why it's good to pay attention, even if you're just investing. Now, a lot of investors, they don't do that. They'll just buy. And, a lot of times you buy every week or every month, a certain amount of your check or a certain amount of money you got coming in, you buy consistently every month, regardless of what the price is. And that's fine. But, if you know that you're building a position, then something you might want to add to that, or you might want to adjust that a little bit where you separate where your money is allocated and only put a portion of that. Now, the reason it's not good to do that is because people might have no discipline and the money you don't put in is money you might blow and not have to ever invest. But if you know that you are more disciplined in that, then maybe reduce the amount that you're going to automate of going into this account on a weekly basis or a monthly basis and let the other part build up in an account that you're going to hold for these prime entry points that I'm talking about. You know, if that makes sense. So that whenever there is a big dip in the market for whatever reason, then that's when you empty out that account. You go deep into whatever the stocks that you're already investing in because you're getting it at a discount. And then you just start that process over again with that particular account. And maybe you rotate the stocks you go in. Now back to my story. Okay, so I got back up into Walmart at 87. Is it 87? No, 86, 85. 86, 85. Unfortunately, at around 10:30, between 10:30 and 11:30, between 10:30 and 11:30, it continued to go down, go down, and go down. And last time I looked, it was all the way down to 85.40. And so I got 150 shares. So now I am more than $200 in the negative, which is still less than what I profited yesterday. However, that's $200 in the negative. Now, here's the reason I'm not panicking. It's Walmart. We just saw it go up to 87 this morning. I got in at 86. I wish I would have bought Meta, but again, it's futile to wish and what it could have, should have. But, I'm just giving you these numbers and these price movements and how it played out, because it's just something you can take into account and maybe build upon, draw from, learn from, and put in your data bank of information to draw from when you become active. Now, something I forgot to talk about yesterday, do these things, you're not going to remember everything, is that you can do something very useful. Now, I'm not sure Robinhood has this yet. I'll have to check into that. By the time I upload this video, I'll let you know. And if not, then this may be a reason not to use Robinhood and take the extra 15 minutes to get into TD Ameritrade and the extra little, time it might take for the learning curve to use it. Paper trading. It's called paper trading. And that's where you don't actually use your own money. And again, obviously, for something like this, you need absolutely $0 coming in, because they're going to give you 100,000 fake dollars that you can use and trade. And you can practice your trading philosophy, your trading theory. You can take your trading ideas and put them into play and see how it will play out. That's an excellent practice to sharpen your skills and test your strategies and build upon your understanding of how to read the charts and how to look at the information that's coming in, how to identify stock movement, how to pick the right stocks, especially if you're looking at fringe. Now, let me go back to myself again. Again, notice that I'm not stressed at all about the stock going down. You know why? Because it's Walmart. And that's why I chose to do Walmart. It's because if I'm wrong on today and it doesn't go back up and let me get out today, but if it doesn't go up today, I'm okay, because here's the other part, is that unless you have 25,000 of your money in that account, then you can't just willy-nilly buy and sell and buy and sell and buy and sell. After 4 of those within a 5-day period, I think I'm saying that right, then you're considered a pattern day trader. And it's basically, they'll lock you out your account for, I think, 30 days. And it's just the rules. It's just the rules. You got governing bodies who oversee securities and all of this stuff. So that's one of the rules, and it's for your protection, because they figure if you got less than 25, and you shouldn't be doing all of that day trading, because probably you are new at trading if you only got 25. And then, you're depressed and you're walking into the building, eliminating people, but you're stressed and jumping out the windows and all of that stuff. So anyway, the rules are designed to protect the consumer, and that's the rules. So by me buying today, and as long as it doesn't go down too much, and then I can sell it tomorrow, then guess what? I still have other opportunities to do a day trade, and it don't count, and today doesn't count against me. But at the end of the day, my point is, that's why, until you're very comfortable, until you got a lot of experience, first of all, day trade, if you're going to day trade, practice that in a paper account. And then if you're going to, like for me, I did do paper account, but I mean, let's face it, there's nothing like the real thing. And you are much more intense and serious about doing it correctly when it's your money on the line. It's just, that's how it works. And so I like doing it this way. I'll just do a smaller amount and try to discipline myself. I'm done with the paper trading for the most part, unless I'm trying to learn something new, a new strategy, like doing options, spreads, and all of this other stuff. So yeah, saying. Yes. Oh, that's what I was saying. So yes, so if you're going to trade, and especially with your home, if you're new, don't go into the speculative stocks. Do something that next year this time it should be up. Like Walmart, it ain't going. Price so low right now, probably between now and tomorrow. But I'm just saying, between now and 30 days, I can have a reasonable expectation that the stock price will be higher than it is now, and I can jump out if I want to. So I think that's a good way to look at it. And if you want to try a day trade or two, then, it's not as risky as it may sound. Now, just think about it. So if I was doing that with a company that was not profitable, it may be very popular. A lot of the most popular companies are not profitable. But if I was to do that, and then they go and try to raise money, something that they do a public offering and raise money, then guess what? Depending on that company, well, most of the time the price is going to drop precipitously and not recover for a good while, depending on how much money they raise and how cheap they sell that stock. So this is why you got to be very, very careful with companies that are not profitable. Now, all of these companies put out their financial information on these companies are available. You can just Google, put it into ChatGPT. Matter of fact, I got it. You guys, leave me a message if you want me to send you a link to my custom stock news GPT, and I'll send you that link where you can use it. It's already programmed to look up use legitimate resources to look up information about companies and market data, stock market news, and all of that. I do a lot of custom GPTs for different things. Shoot, if you want one for weight loss, let me know. I'll send you that one too. I got one where it asks you how much weight you want to lose, what's your weight now, what's your age. So because what you eat and everything is taken into account depending on your age and all of the factors, all of the input determines the output. It's going to ask you what foods you hate, because there's no need of us creating a plan for you that includes something you despise, because you're not going to follow. And it is useful for us to include the stuff that you love. And if it can't be included in a plan that allows you to lose weight, then how it's set up is to figure out an alternative that matches that food very well. So that we could tell you, well, look, this right here, like even pizza. I love pizza. If I put in that pizza, it's going to say, well, you can still enjoy your pizza. This is going to taste probably even better. We're going to have you make your pizza dough out of cauliflower. You see? That's how it's designed. So we're getting away from stocks, but I'm just saying. So I also made a custom GPT or investigating companies that you might be wanting to invest in. And I mean, for social media, for starting a business, for, we're getting a little stretched, but we are talking about investing. Yeah. No, this is good because this is what the channel is about, risks and reward. And for me, that's two different channels. You got finance and you also got life in general. So do you want to get in a relationship with somebody that a woman whose personality and mindset is such that it will not allow you the freedom and provide you the encouragement to pursue your goals, express your ambition, follow your entrepreneurial pursuits, your investing pursuits? Nah, you don't want to do that. The risk is you start fading away from those things that you were working on. Then guess what? You end up losing the woman anyway, because now you don't even have a mission that you're going for as a man. You need to be on your own journey. So, risk and reward. At work, do you keep your mouth closed and just blindly do what they ask you to do when you know that's not the right thing to do in the best interest of the company, or even to actually obtain the goals that has been set forth for your department? And because you're down there, feet, boots on the ground, you work with it day to day, and the supervisor telling you something that's ridiculous. Well, risk versus reward. I can follow them and they're going to like me for following them without opening my mouth. But at the same time, this is going to end up being a failure if I do that. And then what? However, if I stand up for myself, they might dislike me at the time. I might even get fired at the end of the day because this person has a poor concept of what it means to be a good leader, and they rather just have their instructions be followed instead of getting good feedback from the employees who are actually boots on the ground. So it's ridiculous. What if I say what I know makes sense to say, which actually is in the best interest of the company and my position and reaching the goal? He's going to retaliate because of his ego. So I might get fired. Which way do you go? Risk versus reward. Stand up, say it, do it, be that. Get fired. It ain't got sense enough to you got to think about it. I love doing this. I love psychology. I love all this stuff. You got to think about it. I don't care how pretty she is. Do you want a girl that's going to hold you back? No. Deal with it. Let them fire you if they want to fire you. Whose loss is it? It's their loss. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that means you need to get up out of there. And if you're thinking at that level, and this idiot is thinking at that level, and especially if you're able to see it, you're mindful of that, you're aware of that, guess what? You probably could start something yourself anyway. So find another job, even if it pays less, and also start your thing on the side that incorporates the level of thinking and intelligence that you have within you. And I did another video the other day, not on this channel in particular, but it's called Don't Undervalue Yourself. Because a lot of times, let's say you've been at that job for 10 years, for 5 years, for 3 years, for 2 years, and doing maybe the same position or 3 positions in that department. Do you understand the value you have of spending that amount of time doing something? It's not just within the role of that job itself. It's much bigger than that. You've learned you've paid attention to the process of how repetitive actions helps you to improve the output. These are all concepts understandings that you can apply to different things. For example, AI. So if you have done that and you understand that even though you might get into something like creating a chatbot and it's new and foreign to you, it might take you all day or 2 days in order to create one the first time. But now you have a fundamental understanding that the more you do this, then the quicker you're able to get it right the first time. So now all of a sudden it takes you 1 day. Then all of a sudden it takes you 3 hours. Then all of a sudden it takes you 1 hour to have an MVP for a company to address a specific use case. Now all you got to do is fine tune it. You understand what I'm saying? Do not undervalue yourself. Now a lot of times people do things. This is me. A lot of times a person does a thing for so long that it's easy to assume that other people know the intricacies and the nuances that go along with that thing. And guess what? You got to step back and really look at the bigger picture. They don't. Unless a person has a reason to be involved at the level that you have been involved, it is rare that they would be able to have the level of understanding to know these intricacies and these nuances of which you are assuming they know. Does that make sense? So, that being the case, guess what? You knowing what you know about that particular thing, that's a lot of value, buddy. A whole bunch of time by providing some coaching to them, creating a course for them, connecting with them on a call, creating a YouTube channel around that material, doing a podcast around that subject matter. Don't undervalue yourself, okay? And this is why I said on the last video is that I need you to understand that the most important investment is in yourself. So all of the stuff that I just mentioned, if it's foreign to you, then one thing you could do is come to my school, AICanDoItForYou.com, and I train you on a lot of this stuff. I have a group from Passion to Profits. That's for small business. I train them on a lot of this stuff. How to package a lot of the value or the information in your business and provide it to your customers, your clients. How to grow your business using the technology that's available. That's what I do too. But this is hobbyish. And I have a way to package that as well. But what you're exposed to right now, what you're taking in, obviously this is all free. So I appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. And yeah, guys, in case you don't know, my name is Hervey. Also, let me help you out to understand what I'm talking about in this full. Woo! All right, so something as simple as driving a truck. This is not. I'm telling you what I'm telling you because I've lived it. When I got in the truck 15 years ago, I recognized that a lot of people was unhappy. And I said, this is interesting. I find trucking interesting and exciting and fun, enjoyable. So why are these people unhappy? So I reverse engineered it, asked a bunch of questions, did my own little research, and I got an understanding of what was causing them these problems. Relationships, money, personal relationships with the dispatcher, not happy with the job description, or actually, what was expected of them at the job. So this was a mix, match, and compatibility. I'm getting excited now. I've been doing this 15 years. Obviously, it's something I'm passionate about. And so I need to get ahead of this and help people who are interested in getting into trucking to get into trucking in a better way. And a lot of times, again, they don't know the questions that they need to ask in order to get the information that they need in order to make a decision to figure out, one, if they're compatible for the trucking lifestyle, and two, on what type of company to choose, and three, what questions, well, you can't even choose the company, but two, what questions to ask the company in order to do number three, which is to figure out what is a better company that is the right choice for me to go to based on my desires. So I created a website, I created a YouTube channel, and all of that to help them figure out all of this stuff or be made aware of the stuff in advance to getting into trucking so that they have a more enjoyable experience in trucking. You understand what I just did? I saw the value I had by being a driver of experience. Now we're talking about 6 months experience. But like I said, I also love personal development. So I'm easily able to ask the questions. All right, why are you not happy? What's the problem? What is it you don't like about it? Then I reverse engineer that. Okay, so you don't like, all right, how did you end up in a situation where you're experiencing these things that you don't like? That's because you didn't ask the question. Okay, well, why didn't you ask the question? One, you didn't have the awareness in order to ask the question because you just don't think that way. And two, you didn't know enough to ask the questions because you're not in it to know to ask the questions. So it's levels. So, I take all of this stuff. And so now how do I present the information in a way so that they are proactively introduced to all of this information and are able to think about all of the things that are relevant to becoming a trucker? Does that make sense? All right, you guys, this has been a long enough video. I think that I've told you a lot about me at this point now. If you're interested in any of the things that I have going on, you can follow through on what you learn. I have the AI training at AIcanDoItForYou.com for businesses. I mean, you can go there too as a business, but if you want more to be in an environment, a small group of businesses, from passiontoprofit.com, that's a community that I'm building on school. If you are a truck driver, if you want to get into trucking, go to lifeisatrucker.com. And from there, you can click to the YouTube channel as well. You can go straight to the YouTube channel, Life is a Trucker. Or if you are a trucker and you're ready to get up out of there, I just retired myself. I live in Dominican Republic part of the time. And my new mission and passion, the movement that I am now starting, just like I started educating truckers, people who are getting into trucking, I am now educating current truckers on how to create additional sources of income so that they are able to transition out of trucking as I did. There you have it. All you ever wanted to know about Herbie. And y'all have a great day. Thank you for listening. How about hitting that like and subscribe button? And I'm back. Good people, I'm back. All right, so what's going on, right? So now Walmart is below $85. And the first price point I had to buy Walmart was at $85, which is better than the price I got in last week. But again, I got impatient and I was like, man, I'm getting in Walmart. But now the reason I got back on here is because I wanted to reiterate some things that I said in prior videos. Remember I said if the market is strong, going up, or either direction, if it's strong, then the probability of it going in the other direction is higher. And remember, I also said that you got to take into account the sentiment of the people who are buying it. And now you got more retail traders, that's you and I, than ever because of these apps. And these people are less sophisticated. But I mean, that's a chess game. That's man, that part is hard to figure out because you got institutions that do things opposite of what you expect as well. But you got retailers that do things for lack of knowledge as well and not thorough awareness or thinking, taking into account the different aspects of how what happens affect the economy and therefore the stock price. So, a lot of it's still unpredictable when you try to microanalyze too much. You really got to step back and look at a bigger picture of what moves people the most. And there's several things that I want to convey to you right now. So when it comes to trading, a lot of the I don't know what's happening right now, but my cruise control went off by itself for no apparent reason. Hopefully that was a glitch because usually unless the car overheats or you out of fuel or something like that happens, that don't supposed to happen. But anyway, let me finish this. All right, so remember the market sentiment is very bad right now. So if I take into account the sentiment is bad overall, I mean, people feel like as bad as they did in 2020 right now. So that's an underlying factor that should be taken into account. And the market just went crazy Friday, yesterday. So we had that nice movement on the upside. Remember what I said? And so how much sense did it really take? I mean, did it really make for me to jump back into Walmart? I should have reined that urge in and just waited like I was planning on doing. But I couldn't help. So I want you to get the lesson here. I want you to see, I'm not proud to admit that I had a lack of discipline and jumped in early. I'm not proud to admit that, but I'm willing to admit it and let you know how painful that was. Because now it's probably like 450. Now I have erased the proverbs from yesterday. But notice I'm still laughing. But anyway, and that just may be silliness on my part. But no, I'm pretty sure I'll get that back. But I do want you to understand the pain associated with lack of discipline. So obviously I have not reached professional level yet. I reached a level where I know what I should do. I know a lot better of what I should do than what I actually do. Now, one might say, now that is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know whether I should be listening to you or not. Well, just think about it. What I'm telling you is good. What I'm telling you is lots more better than what I'm actually able to do. So, you be the judge. What I'm saying turns out to be pretty good and useful information. What I'm modeling is less useful so far, as far as you know. Now, my profit for the year is 20,000 actually. So I'm actually winning for this year and for last year. But what I have modeled for you thus far since we've started this, actually, the first video is when I told people who watched that video to get into Amazon. Well, I didn't say get into Amazon. Well, I told you I bought Amazon in the 180s and some more things, which are up and have been up a lot since then. And, I bought and sold since then. But anyway, you get all that. My point is just to have you understand how a premature move this morning really put me under a lot. And now, if I was buying right now at 84 and some change, so the likelihood of it going much lower with the minimal things that I'm looking at there is to worry about in the market, unless there is a full out recession, yeah, I'm comfortable doing what I did. Now, the other thing that I could have looked at, and I did look at, that's why I originally set it at 85.50, 85 or 85.50 this morning, is what the most recent low was for the stock price. And that's not just Walmart, but again, when you got people that trade, they look at these numbers. And that's why the patterns, they are self-fulfilling. I remember when I first started, I was like, well, that's ridiculous. It's not going to go back down there again. Yeah. Now, a lot of times it does. And sometimes, again, what I just said a little while ago, it's irrational for the simple-minded or a person not initiated, a person who's only going to use logic. It may seem irrational for something to go down to a certain point, but guess what? There are a lot of people out the market. Most of the people that's in the market are traders. So there's going to be a lot of movement and people selling off. When things go up, they're selling off. So when the last significant number that's the closest to where we are in this date is last week at 84. I think it got down to 84.17 or something like that. So guess what? The probability of it getting back down there is not that irrational, being that we're in a point in the market where there's a lot more traders than there are investors. So that's another thing to take into account. So there's more traders than normal in this climate of bad sentiment on the market. In other words, there's a good number of people thinking that we're going to have a recession or something like that, or are aware that the tariffs are going up and down. They're sitting on the sideline. So all the activity are comprised of a lot of traders. That's something to take into account. We just had a big green day, 2 consecutive green days. That's something to take into account. And you're buying at higher than it was. You're buying in the middle of the range that has been trading at. So in other words, the range has been from 84 some change up to 87. And I'm buying at 86 and some change. That's very risky. You understand what I'm telling you? So I just came back on here to point that out. This is very good for you to understand. That's very useful for you to look at. Like I said, it was very silly for me to get in at that price point. That's my point, for you to understand. So I'm trying to help program you to be patient. Be very patient, be disciplined. Be very patient, be disciplined. And when you look at the big picture, as I have laid it out for today's event, then by all measures, I should have waited. And if it didn't fall down today, I just gotta be okay with that. But I'm like, suppose it don't go back down and it keeps running and everything is over. The tariff situation is fixed. April the 2nd comes and it just runs on up from here, and I miss it going to 90, 95, and 100. Suppose, yeah, you see? Be patient, okay? All right. I'm here, but it takes for real. Believe it or not, I'm back again once more. This really is the last time. So I just wanted to point out, again, stepping back and looking at the bigger picture, there's several things that I talked about that you can actually see between the time I made the first video and now, which was, like 4 days span. So I told you about patterns. Like one of the patterns is like in the early morning, that the market could jump off pretty good and then dip and then go back up. You've seen that happen within the few days of this video. I told you about the pattern, that the cycle that we're currently in, where the pattern is you're going to have the volatility. So that's why I said do not chase. And remember I told you that, I'm sorry if I'm repeating, but this is a high-level overview, and I have to point out some of the things. So it's going to be some repetition, which is good because they say repetition is the mother of learning. So if you will look at it, then just like I said, there's volatility. I said don't chase. If you got the days of going up, then you can choose to wait so they can get in at a better entry point, even if you're going to invest. And you've seen that happen. So like I said, because even though it's Walmart, and even though 2 years from now, 3 years from now, no matter what price you get in, it's going to be higher. Well, I paid, because you could have got in today. You could have been like, oh, man, he said it's going to be up. Yeah, but remember, I just told you, if you're going to be investing, you don't need to pay 87 and some change when it just was running up. You can get it a little bit cheaper. It's going to drop down a little bit. Even though I got it at 86 and some change, that's still less than 87 and some change. So never get it at the peak. Wait a little while at least. Get 10 cents off. Why give it away? And you might say, now I don't know what's the top. Well, yeah, that's what they mean when they say you can't time the market. You don't know when it's the top. But okay. So this is another term that I hadn't mentioned. I did mention it in passing though, but let me point it out. So when you hear the concept of consolidation, that's when a stock price spends time at a certain price point for extended period. Now you got different periods of time that people look at, then that they like to use for their technical analysis. So you might be looking at the 1 minute chart, or the 5 minute chart, or the half an hour chart, or the 5 day chart, or the 1 day chart, or 5 day chart, or the 10 day chart. Well, choose your chart. If you're day trading, you want to look at the 5 minute, 1 minute, and you might look at the day chart, 5 day chart to look at these price points. Remember I told you, like the other day was the lowest it got was 84 and some change. So you will look at the 5 day chart. That's what I was looking at when I said that number. And so when you're choosing the likelihood of it maybe going down and where it might go down to from the high of a run like we had, you can look at that chart. All right, what's the other pattern thing I wanted to point out? High level. Yeah, I think it was one more thing, but I just wanted to be sure because, sometimes you can't connect the dots and you might come back and connect them later on, but I want to make sure you connect them right now, like early, so that if they're connected, then that's going to be etched in your mind at an earlier stage that you're coming across and connected them later. So I just wanted to point out, the stuff that he's talking about, they actually happens. And there are patterns, real patterns that occur. Yes, there are. Well, that's it. All right, y'all. I'm out here. By the way, let's go ahead and stamp this so you can look back and see what happened on this day. Today is the 25th of March. 25th of March. The price now is like 85 on Walmart, 85 and some change. And I bet you now tomorrow, I think it's some more data come out tomorrow, but I bet you the day is over. It might go green today before the day is over, but it'll go green this week. But March 25th is a Tuesday. Let's see what happens. You can look back at any time and see how things played out for yourself. And then you'll know, hey, all right, so yeah, what he was talking about, I guess it makes a lot of sense. It really works that way. It really was a good bet. I really can follow this trading idea and apply it because it works out. Or you can say, oh man, this fool lost a whole bunch of money. I'm not doing nothing he talk about. Matter of fact, I'm unsubscribing to his channel. Okay. Yahoo Finance Live on YouTube and Bloomberg Live on YouTube. Bloomberg Live on YouTube. Yahoo Finance Live and Bloomberg Live on YouTube.